Why and how your mother made you a perfectionist. I hate being a perfectionist. I hate it so much because it is deeply rooted in the amount of anxiety that I deal with. It's not something I'm proud of. I often hear other people mentioning that they're perfectionists in a jokingly manner or in a way that they are proud of it. I'm not proud of being a perfectionist. I hate it because even though other people might not know this, it is a sign of my deep, severe anxiety that has been caused by my mother, that has been caused by my family. My mother has caused my anxiety and has made me into a perfectionist because mistakes were not tolerated, because I wasn't given the room and the space to make mistakes, to be a child, to be a human being, because being a human being means you will make mistakes, but not with my mom. And there are extreme cases out there where I remember in high school there was this girl who would say that if she got a 95% for a test, her parent would ask her, why didn't you get like the rest of the 5%? And that's extreme. That is very extreme, and I can imagine how much anxiety that girl had to deal with, how she might have also ended up being a perfectionist, because 95% in a test is not good. Listen, I was an average student. In varsity, in high school, I was an average student. And 95% for me would have been everything. It would have been everything for a lot of people, even the students of today. I mean, 95% is good, is really, really good. And to come back, excuse me, and to come back home and have your parent tell you that it's not good enough, essentially saying that you could have gotten the other 5%, like, but it's 95, so I was supposed to get 100%. That's an extreme case of a mother or a father making their child a perfectionist. Mine was not that extreme. It was benign, it was subtle, but it also had significant hurt and results in my life. I now deal with anxiety that I have to take medication for. And for the longest time, I didn't even want to take medication because this was also part of my mother's voice in my head, that I'm supposed to pray things away and I'm supposed to be strong. I grew up being told by my mother and my sister that I'm the strong person, but it negatively impacted me because it wasn't the kind of strong that was uplifting. It was the kind of strong that meant that I had to suppress everything that I was feeling. That meant that I had to always put on this face of being okay. And that's not the right kind of strong. Nobody should be that type of strong where you have to suppress and not really feel what you're feeling. And so for me, my mother made me into a perfectionist, which to me just equals anxiety. When I think of being a perfectionist, I just it for me just automatically goes to anxiety. Because if you're a perfectionist, you can imagine how many things you have to worry about. Everything has to be in order. Not a single thing should not be in place. You can handle imperfections, you can handle flaws, you can handle mistakes. That is a lot of anxiety. So for me, whenever I just think of perfectionism, it equals anxiety. So my mother made me a perfectionist. She made me an anxious wreck. All my life, I've just had this unease in me. I've always felt like I was just always nervous about something. You know how you get nervous when you go to an interview or you've got a big thing coming up or a big test, things that are reasonable, that qualify for something to be nervous about or to be anxious about. Now imagine having that feeling for all your life. Like you're going to this big interview, you're going to write this big test, or something big is happening. Imagine living with that type of feeling for all your life. And if you've lived with that feeling, you might be just like me. You might have been emotionally abused, and you might still be emotionally abused because you had to live in this home or with these people that expected you to always be strong, to not make mistakes, to just always be okay. And that produces so much anxiety in a person. And my mother did just that. She produced so much anxiety in me. And I want to give examples that are going to seem so minor. So minor because this is why I've always disregarded all the things that she has done, because they were just minor things, they were just small things. But having all these things happen for a long extended period of time, especially with someone that you live with on a daily basis, it can have tremendous negative results, like severe anxiety, even depression, identity crisis, not knowing your worth, feeling like you're not good enough. Those are the results of these type of things. Let's start with this example that actually just happened yesterday. So we usually here at home, we take out the microwave from the socket that it goes in. I guess it's like a way to save electricity. I never did it when I was living alone, but most people do it, and we also do it here at home. So we take out the socket because we don't have that switch. So there's like a whole socket situation where we got like plugs and everything. So it's not as easy as like just, pressing the switchy thingy to just switch it off. So we have to take out the plug from the socket so that it's not on if it's not used, and then you plug it back when you want to use the microwave. Now what happens most of the time to all of us as a family is that we forget to take out that plug so that we, in a way, switch off the microwave. And whenever I forget to take out, not even just me, even my sister, because these are the things that my mother has done to me and my sister, but because my sister has turned out into this horrible multiplied version of my mother, I can't even really sympathize with my sister anymore, because she's just a replica of my narcissistic mother. So I forget to take the plug out. And she reminds me, because whenever I make a mistake, forget to do something, it's almost like she's happy to have something to tell me that I didn't do. She's not, I don't know what's the word. She's not cruel about it per se, but it's in the way she says it. I don't know how to explain this, but if you've been through something like this, I know you know what I mean. Sometimes it's not how people say things. They might not say things in a rude way, but they might not say it directly, but it's in the way they say it, or you feel how it's coming across. So I forgot to take that out, and she reminds me in a way that makes me feel like I always forget to do that. Like I never remember to take the plug out. Like it's the thing that is just that I'm failing at. Minor example, I told you, but imagine this happening for all your life, where you are made to feel like just because you forgot to, I don't know, wash the cup, maybe you just finished drinking tea and, the sink is clear, like a minor thing. That one time you forgot, I don't know, to put something in the right place, to take something, that one time or a couple of times, because we are human beings, it might happen more than once. But this is not necessarily a pattern. I'm not talking about a pattern where you always forget, or you always don't do that thing, or you always don't put something in its place. And you are made to feel like it's a pattern, but it's not. It's just that one time you forgot to do it. And so she reminds me, doesn't necessarily reminds me, tells me that I didn't take it out, which is very upsetting, because here's another thing that is also frustrating when you live with narcissistic people, is that you also start playing their stupid games, because it's really stupid, unhealthy, toxic games. One time my mother did forget to take, like I said, like we always, like, not always, because again goes back to pattern, but we sometimes forget, like all of us here at home. It's something normal, it's fine. The one time that I reminded her, which takes me back to just playing this narcissistic game, because you feel like you're being treated unfairly, and so sometimes you want to make them feel how they make you feel. So I remind her the other time she forgot to take the plug out, because when it's her, it's fine. It is a mistake. And then she justifies it, obviously, like, oh yeah, it happens. Yeah, you sometimes I forget to take it out. We should actually help each other out. If we see that somebody has forgotten to take the plug out, we should help each other out to take the plug out. I'm like, okay, it's fine. But then just yesterday, when I forgot to take the plug out, all of a sudden we're not helping each other out. Because if I forgot, I remember that you said if one person forgets, which was a reasonable thing to say, because, hey, somebody forgot to take the plug out, it's fine, just take it out, it's not a big deal. But because these are not reasonable people, you can't even hold them to that. So now, when I forget to take the plug out, we're no longer playing this fair game where this reasonable thing. We're no longer doing this reasonable thing where we are helping each other out. Another minor example. We normally open the gate, my sister and I, for my mother when she comes back from work, and then we lock it. I remember so vividly, it has only been two times. So I open the gate for her. She drives in the garage, and then we use a padlock to lock the gate. So this one time I put the padlock, but I don't lock it, like to push it in so that it locks. I forget to do that. She reminds me, again, with that vibe. It's more of a vibe thing, more than her just saying, or even shouting. I think when we were younger, she used to do that, but as we've grown, also her manipulation and abusive tactics have also changed. So she says it with this tone, with this vibe that, you forgot. I mean, even that first time I I was thrown off. I was like, huh? I just forgot one time. Why is she acting like I always forget? And then weeks go by. My sister and I take turns for like opening the gate for her. Weeks go by and I forget again to lock. And she does it again where honestly, I don't know what goes on in her heart or in her mind, but here's what I believe. I believe it makes her happy when I make a mistake and she gets to point it out. So the second time I make, out of all the days and weeks that I open the gate and I lock it, the two times that I've forgotten to lock the gate, she made it seem like the second time she actually did, she mentioned the first time, like, oh, remember that time, which was weeks ago, the other time you also forgot to lock the gate. Like, that was weeks ago. This is why I'm saying there is no room, there's no space for mistakes, because that is a natural mistake. That is something that could have been easily said as like, oh, you forgot to lock the gate, and then I go and lock the gate. There's no need to have this tone about it. There's no need to make it seem like I always forget to lock the gate and I always make mistakes. One of the things that I picked up from the videos that I've been watching about narcissism is that narcissists see the greatness in you, and that is what makes them jealous. You might not even have this glamorous life or all these achievements that warrants them to be jealous of you or see greatness in you, but it might be the type of greatness that you are a strong person, not in this negative suppressing way that narcissists and emotional abusers will want you to be, but it might be one of your good traits to be strong, you're smart, you are self-aware. Those are the type of things that a narcissist or your mother or your sister or your family might be jealous of. So it might not always be that they are jealous of your achievements, or maybe that you're married or you have a beautiful family, because you might be in a situation where you're like, I don't understand what they could possibly be jealous of about me because I don't have a fancy life or this and that. But if you do, they would obviously be jealous of that. They would obviously be jealous of that too. But even just your character, which I think has been the case with my family, they have been jealous of my character, and I didn't understand that because I try to the best of my ability to be a good person. I try to be kind, I try to be compassionate. I am a compassionate person. That is one of my greatest traits. I'm a very compassionate person. I try to be there for others, to be supportive. I just try to be a good person. So even just your character, the type of person that you are, they can be jealous of that. And that's the case with my mother. See, she is jealous of who I am in regards with my character. And so whenever I make a tiny mistake, it's almost like she's happy that she gets to point something out that is wrong about me. Now, in a previous episode, I did mention that one of the things that is commonly said about narcissists is that you shouldn't take it personally because, like the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. So, even though it might not necessarily be about you because maybe they also had a traumatic experience that changed them, or they have hurt or pain or wounds that are in their hearts that they're dealing with, and it's just manifesting. it's just coming out and they taking it out on you. It's coming out as bitterness, as jealousy, as rage. So all of those things that are inside them, they might be taking them out on you. But still, do not disregard the fact that you are the one who is in the situation, in as much as we can try to sympathize with the fact that maybe something terrible happened to them. Maybe it's the pain that they deal with in their own hearts, but it is still directed to you. In as much as I am trying to not always take it personally, but because it is directed towards me. It's like being caught in a crossfire. Like the bullet was not meant for you, but if it shot me, it shot me. I'm the one who's wounded. I don't care if you were trying to shoot your enemy and then somehow the bullet went for me. I'm still wounded. So just because someone has their own pain or past hurt or whatever is going on in their heart, and then they take it out on you, even though it's not really about you and they're probably just projecting, they're just dealing with their own stuff, but you are the one who's affected. You are the one who actually gets hit by the bullet. You are the one who ends up bleeding. So just because someone didn't mean to shoot you doesn't mean you're not going to be wounded. So for me, that's kind of the mentality that I'm at, that in as much as I know it's not really about me, I know that my sister's hate and jealousy, which she could never admit, like even my mother's hate and jealousy towards me, because even if they heard this, they wouldn't hear the pain that they've caused me. They would just roll on the ground, like hypothetically, they would just roll on the ground, crying how they would never hurt me. They love me. How could I say such horrible things? They will make it about them instead of trying to understand my pain and see how some of the things they've done to me, how they have hurt me. They wouldn't dare try to understand. It would be about them and how much they love me, how much they think they love me, and how much they would never hurt me. Why would I think such a horrible thing? But it's true. It's true. Whether they want to admit it or not, my family actually doesn't like me. I really believe that now. And I'm almost angry at myself that I almost had, I didn't almost, I always had this picture of this loving family. And I think that is what is so upsetting to me, that I always had this picture of us as a family being so loving, loving each other, loving each other's company. But it was all a lie. The only reason we were so loving and able to be together was because I tolerated the amount of pain and anxiety and insecurities that they gave me. And now that I can no longer tolerate that, this relationship is not working, which means it was never genuine to begin with. Because the only way that this relationship works is if I take all the crap that they throw at me. That's the only way it works. So back to being a perfectionist. My mother has caused me so much anxiety because with every little mistake that I've ever made, from being a child even to now being an adult who lives with my mother, like the one thing that I wish the most is to be anywhere else but here at home. But unfortunately, my circumstances do not allow that. The one thing that my mother has always done is to make me feel anxious. And I've always been supportive of my mother. I've always been there for her. I've always cheered her on. And that's the crazy thing about a narcissist. That's the crazy thing about someone who's emotionally abusive. No matter how kind you are to them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change them. No matter how good you are to them, how supportive, even if you compliment them 24/7, it wouldn't change how they treat you. They enjoy that, obviously, because that's what they love, to be made to feel special. but they never want to make you feel special. I guess because you should never be, they think you're gonna think that you're above them. My mother has made me feel like crap for all my life. I do not remember a single day where my mother was genuinely happy for me. She acted like she was happy for me, and it was convincing at the times when I was still naive. My mother and my sister, both of them. But I look back now and I actually don't see them being genuinely happy for me. I now don't even share certain things that I do with my life, things that I'm excited about, things that are achievements, because I never feel like they are truly happy for me. They say and do the right things at the time. The reaction that they're supposed to have when maybe something great happens in my life, they do that. But you can sense. Never doubt your intuition. Even if it looks like it's something else, if it looks like they're happy for you, if it looks like they're proud of you, if it looks like they love you, if it looks like they are kind, but it doesn't feel like that, do not doubt that. I did that all my life because it looked like they love me. It looked like they were happy for me. It looked like they were on my side. It looked like they were supportive. They can put on an act, but I've always felt, and I doubted it and I questioned it because I didn't want to listen to my gut feeling. I didn't want to listen to my intuition because how could it be right? Because what I'm seeing in front of me are these people that seem to be happy for me. Sometimes it manifested in ways that, they would show that even in the way they act, I could sense that, not even sense, I could see. Sometimes they could really put on the act, but my intuition would tell me that it doesn't seem genuine. But sometimes even the acting would be whack and they just couldn't, pull it off. And so now I am the type of person who wants everything to be in order, needs everything to be in place, needs everything to be organized. I do it in my room, I do it in my life. I keep notes and reminders of things. I just need things to be in order. I need things to be super organized because I'm this perfectionist that I don't want to be. Even though I am starting to lean into that in a positive way because I can't resent it for the rest of my life because now I'm here, now I'm this person, and I just have to work with it, even though I try to not let it dominate my life because I cannot have a perfect life. And another crazy thing, they will cause you these things, like for example, being anxious, being a perfectionist, and then when you are these things, they will judge you for it. There have been cases, and I can't even give like a good example right now, but there have been cases where my mother would tell me that not everything should be perfect, or not everything is going to be perfect, or not everyone is going to be perfect, because that's how I am now. That's what I've become accustomed to because of the way she raised me, where now I want things to be perfect or even people to be perfect, and then she judges me on what she made me to be. And then even just like with anxiety, just telling me that I shouldn't be scared, or I shouldn't have fear. But you made me this person. You inflicted these things on me, and then you judge me for being what you made me to be. I hate this so much. I cannot wait to live home, and I don't even know how our relationship is gonna be when I leave home because I'm so angry and upset at them for the fact that they've treated me like this, and they no longer have power over me, but they have really caused some serious damage over my life. And I cannot wait to live home. I cannot wait to be somewhere else. And the most frustrating part is that I cannot speak to them about this because they would never understand. They would never take accountability. They will never admit their wrongdoing because they love me, right? Because your family loves you. We could never do that. And yet they have. They've emotionally abused me all my life, and they continue to do so.